there is a thing that happened to me, or it happened to Japan, actually, and I was peripherally involved. And on March 11th of 2000, last year, they were hit with an earthquake and a tsunami. And despite the fact that their entire country is built around a place where earthquakes are considered foot rubs. Anything under a 4, yeah. Earthquakes are just common. That's what they do. I've been in an earthquake. I was in the one in California. I was away from it, but earthquake is not a foot rub. It's a freaky thing. And it broke their nuclear reactor. Broke it, despite the fact that they built it as best as they could with the engineering that they had. It was broken. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant was broken. There was a retired engineer named Yasuo Yamada, who decided that he was going to get some volunteers, and they call themselves the Skilled Veterans. This is the Skilled Veterans Group. That's the English translation of their name. They call themselves the Skilled Veterans. And they decided that they were going to volunteer, and they were petitioning for the government, who for some reason was giving them a hard time about this. They petitioned their government to go in there and fix it and to do the dangerous work of fixing this broken nuclear reactor. Their reasoning was fairly sound in that they said that we are not concerned, we are starting at 80 years old, we are not concerned with cancer that may develop in 30 years. Right now there are younger people that are working in that thing, and we need to get them out of there and we need to do it. Their other reasoning was the thing that fascinated me. They said that they are of the generation that voted nuclear power to come in and power their factories in their countries after being the only country in the world that was attacked with nuclear weapons. They are the ones that voted it in. And their generation is the one that built the plant. So they took cultural, personal responsibility. And they said, we are responsible for this thing being broken. So we will be the ones to go, and we should be the ones to go in and fix it. They were getting some grief about that from the government and from TEPCO, which is the power plant that built the thing. And it turns out that they're getting some grief from some other different areas. Well, I heard this story, and I posted as a songwriter, sometimes you sit down and you say, I want to say something. There's something that I want to say about this. More often, that was a smooth transition, wasn't it? Until I said that. More often, in the case of songs that really kind of mean something, it was like this. I heard that story on the news, and I was so moved that I wrote a song immediately, and in my vanity, I just posted it, I recorded it however it was, and I posted the thing, and the daughter of one of these engineers that were part of this contacted me through my website and asked for permission to translate this song into Japanese and to post it on their website. Through a separate set of circumstances, from military friends of mine that were stationed in Japan and came to the United States, I met a Japanese musician, a friend that came to the United States, and we jammed together. He was a blues aficionado, so we played a little blues. And I played him this song. And he has asked for my permission to play this song in his band in Japan. So this will be, I can almost now, at this point, technically speaking, claim to be an internationally recognized song. Thank you very much. There are a bunch of asterisks on that thing. I'm not internationally well known. There's probably 12 people in Japan that heard, oh, that American guy.
That is not prosperity.
That is not prosperity thinking. See, I got caught again. It's comedy thinking, which is but it's reality. That's what it is. And Mr. Yamada was in the United States recently, and we're going to do some fun stuff with this song. And I am, of course, waiting for my prosperity. My royalty check for 87 yen is on its way, I'm sure. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the yen. So if you don't mind, I want to play this song for you now that I wrote for this. And there's a reference in here called the Divine Wind. And it's something that we were associated with negative things, but at this point it's a different animal. I'll explain that in just a minute. So I play for you now the international, almost hit, the Song of the Skilled Veterans. They call themselves the skilled veterans, uniquely suited to do what must be done. They will walk into the fire to save their young. They will save their young. Some say the earth rose up in anger, left the nation and exposed the very core. Some older cherry trees who had already blossomed quietly said it's time to give a little more. It's time to give a little more. So like the firemen in the tower and the soldiers in the field, they are part of something bigger than themselves. And so towards life does the divine wind blow, leaves the children with a tale to tell. The children have a tale to tell. They call themselves the skilled veterans, uniquely suited to do what must be done. They will walk into the fire to save their young. They will save our young. Very much. Now I'm just playing, right? Here's what struck me about that story. I think it's a cool story all by itself. But here's another thing that struck me, and it sort of reminds us to lift our eyes a little bit. When Mr. Yamada and another engineer friend of his put the call out and said, we need engineers to come help. We need retired engineers to come help us. They had a certain number of engineers that came and replied. But they were also quite overwhelmed with, as of the article that came out in the Los Angeles Times, 400 or so people that came from everywhere. Retired people that were volunteering to wash the clothes of the people and to cook food for them and to operate forklifts and operate machines, and the people that we would consider bureaucrats and civil service workers, ordinary people. And there's a reference in the song to the soldiers and the firemen, and to me those high callings involve the knowledge that you're going to go out to work as a policeman or a fireman or a soldier, and you're going to get in front of bad things for the sake of society. And that's a high calling, and that's an honorable thing. We love that. And the interesting thing to me is that so many people who basically asked if you wanted fries with that, they are volunteering to go and put themselves in harm's way. Now, something that they're kind of not telling you is that they say, well, you know what, we're not afraid of anything developing over a 30-year time span because we're already 80. Well, this is about ground zero. They're walking into certain short-term damage as well, and most of them know it. They're walking into the place volunteering to go to where they're going to be treated the way my microwave treats my burritos. There is certain short-term pain. This is not some hypothetical thing. This is they are putting themselves in harm's way for their younger generation, and it is my hope, and you said to talk about prosperity and it not being a hit. I hope it is a hit. And I hope I don't really benefit too much. I would love to get the check engine light off my dashboard, but it is my hope that the story, regardless of what the song does, it is my hope that the story is something that we can hold up to our nation's leaders as an example of what honor does when it's part of a culture. The Japanese culture is 2,000 years old. They were around when Jesus walked on the earth. Our culture is 200 years old. Now, I am a jingoistic American patriot. This is the greatest country that ever happened. We're the only country in the world that was born out of armed revolution where the leader of the revolution didn't make himself the king or the leader. They tried to make him. He didn't do it. This is the greatest country that I believe that history has ever produced. But I admire that aspect of the Japanese culture, that they're 2,000 years old. There are things about a 2,000-year-old culture, maybe not so taco. But we are deciding who we are as a culture. If we take a look at what we're doing now and place it in a 2,000-year context, what we need to do is hold our civic leaders to a higher sense of morality. We need to hold all the people that are holding this debate to a higher sense of civility. When you see something in your inbox, and I have seen it, I have seen my inbox filled with people that believe this way, and they paint the opponent's guy with the Hitler mustache, or they believe this way, and they paint that guy with a turban, or anything that inspires hate and fear and divisiveness and us versus them thinking. And I believe that dishonors everybody that has sacrificed their lives for this country. We are electing the leader of the free world. And it is important that we not use the techniques that we used when we were in 6th grade drawing pictures of our teacher. It is important that we cast this sacred vote, not based on fear, not based on hate, but we also need to understand that we are deciding what our culture looks like and deciding who we are as a young culture. 2 centuries, that's nothing in the history. So we have to decide who we are. And it is my hope that as we get these emails, we can return with love and say, hey, guys, we're all on the same team. RDILG, whatever your name is, letter is. We're all on the same team. We need to calm down just a little bit, take a deep breath, lift our eyes, and remember that our Creator loves us individually. Every single one of us. This is amazing, but God even loves Democrats. Can you believe it? He loves Muslims. He loves everyone. And He's pulling for all of us. And we all need to remember that. I'm not calling for compromise on issues. There are things that you need to dig your heels in and say, I'm right and they're wrong, but explain to them why. We need to vote and act and send emails based on up here. And I think that's very, very important, and that will form a central thesis if you ever see my shows. So I'm sort of dedicating myself to that. And I would like to thank you again for making room for me at your Unity Church. God bless each and every one of you in this building, and bring this light, please, to everyone. Invite them to the Unity. Thank you. God bless you.